Hello and welcome to that third installment of the six-part series called God City, My City. Today we'll talk about how to engage the city. We talked about how to love the city, how to pray for the city. This week, engage the city. And how do we do that? Engage the city, we're going to talk specifically about small groups. Okay? There are two texts that are important as a foundation for our study today, and it's Acts 5:42. uh, the Bible says, day after day in the temple courts and from house to house, they never stopped teaching and proclaiming the good news that Jesus is the Messiah. And Matthew 4:25 says, large crowds follow him wherever he went, people from Galilee, the 10 towns, Jerusalem, and from all over Judea and from the east of the Jordan River. Once again, this word, this city that we've been studying, Jerusalem, the people that followed Jesus. Okay, so what does the Inspired Council tell us in the book Testimonies for the Church? It says the formation of small companies, small groups, as a basis of Christian effort has been presented to me by one who cannot err. If there's a large number in the church, let the members be formed into small companies to work, notice this, not only for the church members, for unbelievers. So small groups have two purposes. One is to edify believers, and number two is to reach the lost. Okay? Those two things combined make a successful small group. So how does this get implemented, and why is it important to have small groups? The majority of you that are watching this video are involved in some type of small group, and that's fantastic. I encourage you to surround yourself with a body of believers, a small group of believers that can help you grow in your spiritual life. There's very few things that will help you grow more than just being a part of a small group on a continuous basis. Okay? So in the third section, with the transform section, is the meat of the lesson. There are 5 questions, as in other lessons. Number 1, how does Jesus summarize his and the church's mission? Luke 19:10 tells that he came to seek and to save that which was lost. We've said it before and we repeat it again. Lost people matter to God. Okay? Number 2, the dictionary defines engage this way: to win over or attract. Now, think of this, okay? What are the methods that the church uses to win over or attract people that are far away from God? Okay? I'll just ask you that are watching this video. How did you come into the church? Was it by a flyer that you got in the mail? By a brochure that you got in the mail? By a TV or radio advertising? One day you just walked by the church and just decided to join it? Or was it by a friend or a relative? Over 78% of people join the church by a friend or relative. And it's important that we establish those friendships. By the time somebody gets baptized and 5 years go by after they get baptized, in 5 years people lose all their friends that were from the world, not Christian. And most of their relationships and friendships now are people from the church. And that's a little bit of bad news for the church, because they're already converted. Your friendship circle is already converted. You need to get people from outside of the church that you can engage to bring in. And how do you do that? Through small groups. Okay? There are 4 benefits. 4 benefits of doing small groups. And outline this to your group so they know why it's important. It's not just telling them, yeah, you should do it, but why is it important? It's like your kids. They're always asking why. Share why. Number 1, small groups are inexpensive. Okay? They're inexpensive. You can have many groups with a limited budget. Number 2, it has a greater impact. Okay? You can have unlimited number of small groups in areas that are closer to people's homes and are less threatening to non-believers that come into a church. Number 3, it develops leaderships. In a church, one preacher everybody watches. When you have 20 small groups, there's 20 people that are speaking. So it develops leadership. Okay? Small groups, this is for pastors and church leaders. A small group is a great place to identify, deploy, and develop leaders. Okay? And number 4, and I think the most important, that's why we left it for number 4, is that it's biblical. Okay? The early church regularly met in homes, and both the Old Testament and the New Testament encourage its practice and principles that are fellowship, outreach, growth, and worship. Okay? Now, fourth question that we have in this section is that one of the most important things that we can have in our lives is to connect with people. And I want to bring this to your attention, because when you have a curriculum like this, and you have it all planned out, and you have all the things that you wanted to do, and your small group, you have your lesson plan ready, there might be some time that there might be an interruption in the schedule, and you might see that as a bad thing. But I just want to share with you that most of Christ's miracles were done through interruptions. He was going to do something, and somebody interrupted him in what he was trying to do. So don't take interruptions in small groups as bad. Just let the Spirit lead, okay, and use that for God's glory, okay? And as we always do in this last section, on this last question of this section, we read 3 texts, okay? Acts 12:12, Hebrews 10:24 and 25, and Acts 2:46 and 47, that help us understand what small groups can do in the context of reaching our cities. Now, this is my favorite part because it's a part of application, is the involved part. There's 3 principles that we learn from this lesson. Number 1, the best advertising for church is you. Not a flyer, okay? Not a TV advertising, not a soundbite, not a newspaper clip, you, okay? If you show up in a restaurant and you like it, you probably go home and tell other people that the restaurant was good. If you hate it, you probably don't tell anybody. Okay, if you go to church and it's transforming your life, you'll probably share with somebody else. So the best advertising is you. Number 2, you can lead a small group. Okay? Lead 4 things. Number 1, a person that leads a small group must love Jesus, L. Number 2, they must have an evangelistic mindset. Okay? Number 3, they must be accountable to another person. And number 4, a person that leads a small group wants to develop other people, not hug all the power. Okay? That's a small group leader. You don't think you can do it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And number 3, to reach the city, okay? To reach the city, we have very intentionally have to develop, okay, the small group network, okay? And that's why every member must be in ministry. We can't let the professionals, pastors, do it any longer. It's like a quote I read the other day. Christianity is like a football game. 22,000 people in the stands, okay, watching, that need to be exercising. They're watching 22 people playing the game that are playing the game and need to be resting. Okay? It's not about watching what other people do, it's by getting involved. And you can get involved in a small group. You can give your home, you can attend one, you can lead one. Now, what is our assignment this week? What is our assignment this week? Our assignment this week is to pray for your small group and decide, okay, that this is going to be a lifestyle change that you will make. That you will surround yourself with other, 3 to 12 people, and you will not just the 6 lessons, but on an ongoing basis, on a regular basis, you will be engaged in a small group, because that's the way you reach your community. Okay, this week about small groups. And I'm asking God to bless and prosper and help you in your small group as you grow together trying to reach your city for God.